we got a story on the 3AC guys to open the show, and I am taking it. That's right. Bankruptcy Claims Exchange, OpenX, issues another token, the OX token. OpenX's own little version of BNB or FTT was issued today, and people were excited. Now, the 3AC guys partnered with the CoinFlex guys to launch OpenX. So CoinFlex had a pre-existing token called Flex. There's a relationship between the two tokens, and Flex was pumping a little bit on the news when this was dropped today. We'll talk about exchange tokens. We'll talk about OpenX. This also follows some somewhat contested fundraising announcements that were made by OpenX. So we'll also talk about that. I'll toss this straight to Adam for his thoughts. What do you think on OpenX these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this type of exchange actually makes a ton of sense. We've seen these sort of informal things come up. And really, again, what's happening here, if you dig into it, is that when a company goes bankrupt, you've got creditors. Those creditors are owed money, but the process for getting that money out can, in the case of something like Mt. Gox, literally be, like 10 years. So a lot of times the value of the money in 10 years is a lot less than the value of the money to you today. And so sometimes people are willing to sell those claims at kind of pennies on the dollar in order to get some liquidity back and to just escape having to worry about this for the next number of years, right? So this type of exchange really does make sense. We've seen successful use of this type of thing before, and it really reminds me of kind of the story way back when with Tether, where or with Bitfinex, where Bitfinex got compromised, had a whole bunch of money stolen from it. They issued a token rather than going bankrupt, and they eventually did manage to claw their way out of that whole thing, pay back all the tokens without ever formally going into bankruptcy. So this is a little different. This is legit bankruptcy claims, but it's kind of the same thing. And I like when you can connect dots like this and make it so people have more choices. Even if none of the choices are good, hey, it's always better to have options and pick kind of what's your favorite. Will, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you on that part. Like, I think this is a product that's needed. There's a lot of different Chapter 11 cases for a lot of these trading firms or hedge funds, and having a place where you're able to like neutrally trade it makes a lot of sense. The background here, of course, is like the people who team this up are basically everyone's worst nightmare, right? Don't have a lot of love for Suzu on the show or Kyle Davies. CoinFlex also had a lot of problems, and a lot of these people still owe people billions of dollars. So that is one issue. And then the second issue here, I think, is the token itself, right? So it has the Flex token, which is like an older token, like you said, Zach, from the CoinFlex team itself, that's somehow poured into this whole relationship with the new exchange. And then they launched this new token this morning, has about 9 billion tokens distributed right now to about 153 users. So the token distribution isn't great there, and it's probably going to take a while for it to have like any sort of value. A lot of times, like, these tokens are launched with the purpose of just having liquidity and for people to cash out to pay for their own lifestyles. There's only a very few rare cases, Adam, where something like Bitfinex was able to actually hold itself to like figuring out a problem with a token. More times than not, it's just another way to scam people out of more money. We don't know that for sure. We don't know anything about this token just launched, but if history is any guide for us, there are some concerns, definitely. Jen, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, you kind of said what I was going to say at the end there. I think the product makes sense, but the focus shifting from the people to the product is interesting to me in an industry where we put so much stock into trust, right? Like, are we able to trust these two who are hopping around from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, who have really loose extradition laws, and who have not really said anything meaty in the public about what happened at 3AC. I pulled this quote from a previous CoinDesk article. It was a quote from Kyle Davies, who said, "If you think about why people are angry, it has nothing to do with me. Actually, people are angry because the market went down." The quote goes on. You can go and read it in the CoinDesk article. But I just wonder if these are the right people to bring this product to life, and if they will be able to garner the trust of the public. Of course, when they launched, it was kind of it wasn't a good launch, right? Not a lot of people went to the product, and now we've seen it kind of take off in the last 24 hours. I wonder if they'll be able to maintain the momentum. Zach, what do you think?
Tokens sure incentivize activity, right? There's always people who are looking to play these things one way or the other to profit. And I think that's why you see a lot of projects turn to tokens, right? It generates excitement, generates a user base where previously there hadn't been one, right? Tokens are a great way to solve sort of the bootstrapping problem that you face in the world of traditional startups. They also come with significant downsides, significant sort of regulatory uncertainty in certain jurisdictions, and all sorts of other sort of perverse incentives that ultimately may not benefit a project for the long run. So we may see the beginnings of some of these trends play out over time with OpenX. I kind of do agree with Adam that it is cool that there is a product like this on the market because, again, the optionality of being able to trade those claims a bit more fluidly than you can on some other centralized exchanges out there is something that I think is needed, especially in the wake of the many bankruptcies that were in part facilitated by some of the risky decisions that 3AC made. So it is a bit of a complicated crypto story given the actors and given their place in the product that they're offering. That's not to say that it's not going to be a success, but it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate it to that success should it reach that stage. But Adam, I saw your hand. I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, just kind of final thoughts on that. Yeah, again, like I have very little opinion whatsoever about the folks behind Three Arrows Capital or the folks who are doing this, but I will note that they probably understand this problem pretty intensely. Right? Like, again,
That's
like a lot
one
of
thing.
times the best people to build these types of products are the people who really understand the need. And you know that they've had people banging down their door, saying, hey, where's the money? Where's the money? And this might be a way for them to be like, okay, go sell it to somebody else who doesn't want to deal with this. The other thing that I'll mention is that this does use special purpose vehicles. So there is a little bit of corporate kind of technicalities behind the scenes in terms of how the thing is actually enacted. That, again, just makes me kind of be like, hey, let's wait and see what happens. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't be investing in anything to do with any of these folks at this point. But that doesn't have anything to do with this particular story.